A Plaguelands media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you the first book review of 2025, although the book I'm reviewing actually finished last year, but life and work kind of got in the way of everything, so that's why this review is coming a little bit later than I would have liked. So, cheers. Now, this is a book that I've actually had for a while and never kind of got around to reading it until one of you fantastic little Plaguelandians out there, Scott Adams fan 3481, I believe, has requested this a couple of times. So I thought, you know what? Why not start off or end 2024 and start off 2025 on a high note? And that is why today's review is Star Wars Red Harvest. Now, this is actually a prequel novel to a book that I read and reviewed in the past. That would be Star Wars Death Troopers. This is a Legends book, so it is not canon, unfortunately. I really fucking wish it was. And it is set during the time of the Old Republic. Now, for those of you that don't know what the Old Republic is, there was this fantastic game that I played when it came out. It was first on the Xbox, called Knights of the Old Republic, and it was basically a Star Wars RPG where you play through this immense and fantastic story. But it was set thousands of years before Episode 4 A New Hope and all of those kind of movies. It introduced these fantastic new characters and this concept that not only are the Jedi prevalent in this world, but the Sith are also prevalent in this world. This is, there is no rule of two that was kind of proposed by Darth Bane, where you only had with the Sith a master and an apprentice. This was Sith were being trained and whatnot. There was a second video game in the series, Knights of the Old Republic 2, and then there was the MMORPG, which I did play and thought was absolutely fucking phenomenal. So any Old Republic stuff I really love. There's a 4-book series that, I mean, it's not actually a series. The books are independent of one another. But they are really, really good reads. So Red Harvest, the prequel to Death Troopers, set during the Old Republic. All you need to know about this is it's Star Wars with Jedi, Sith, zombies, and a talking flower. That's your plot right there. I am going to go into spoilers, especially about the fucking talking flower, but suffice it to say, I thoroughly love this book. It is a wild trip, and the primary reason for that is, while there are Jedi in this, and it is ostensibly a battle between good and evil, a majority of this is kind of from the Sith perspective, because everything takes place at this Sith academy. And that to me was really interesting, because you got to see how these students of the dark side of the Force interact with each other, both before shit happens, but also after shit happens. And it was just a really insightful look at how the dark side kind of works, as opposed to the light side, which we're all used to the Jedi and what the Jedi do and all of that kind of stuff. This was phenomenal. So, first of all, hats off to the little Plaguelandian that recommended this. Really appreciate it. If you have more book recommendations, any of you out there, send them my way for 2025, although I do have a ton of shit to read. And shit here, shit here, shit here, and shit under the desk. So it might take me a while to get around to it. But please keep sending them through. And we're going to get into a semi-spoiler filled, only because I finished this a little while ago and I have not had a chance to review it, so my memory might be a little vague. I don't know why my memory would be vague these days. It's a mystery. But you know what? Who fucking cares? Let's just get right into the first episode of 2025 of...
Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. People.
Okay, let's get into... Wait a minute, that's not my drink. Ah, here we go. Okay, let's get into Star Wars Red Harvest. So the novel actually starts on this planet that has this Sith Academy, and the students are kind of on the top of this temple doing like dueling practice and whatnot, and the best student calls out another student and they duel, and of course the best student is the winner. The other student then goes missing. I believe his name was Nico. Let me just check. There are so many moving parts in this book that his name isn't even mentioned here. Nictor, that's it, Nictor. Okay. So Nictor, after he loses this duel, then goes missing, and the other students kind of are wondering what has happened to him. And one student is pressured into kind of trying to solve this mystery of these missing Sith students. The academy is run by this Sith master called Darth Scabrous. And he has this plan for immortality. Now, that's the beginning of the Sith side. We go to the Jedi side of things. We go to this kind of Jedi agricultural facility where the main character, we'll call her Zoe. Her name is again. Let me just refer to this. Hestizo Trace. She's a Jedi agricultural core worker, but she's just known as Zoe throughout the book. She has this unique ability, this unique force power that allows her to kind of empathize and semi-communicate with plants. There is an orchid at this place. It's the only one that they know of in the galaxy that is force sensitive and can actually communicate with her, so her and the orchid can talk. Their bond is so strong that if the orchid is ever out of range of her, it will die. That's how strong this bond is. Now, at some point, this agricultural community is attacked by a Whiffid bounty hunter by the name of, let me again refer to the book, Tulk. Now, I had to look up what a Whiffid actually looks like, and yes, you do actually see them during the movies in one of those background character aliens that you see in like the Mos Eisley Cantina and shit like that. Previously, another bounty hunter had come because Darth Scabrous has been searching for this orchid, and another bounty hunter had come bringing him the plant, but Darth Scabrous knew that it was fake, and so the bounty hunter was captured by the Sith. Tulk, on the other hand, knows that the orchid and the Jedi are integral and takes them both. Zoe kind of tells him, listen, I need to be near the orchid or it's going to die. So he takes them along and he takes them back to the planet. And that's how Darth Scabrous knows that this orchid is the real orchid that he has been searching for. So Zoe and Tulk are in the tower of this Sith Academy. And Zoe kind of realizes what Scabrous is doing because he sees, she sees one of the Sith students, Nicta, from the very beginning that had been missing, as this kind of zombie thing in this cage with tubes in its neck, and the tubes led to this tank, and Scabrous takes the orchid after dismissing Tulk and paying him, and puts the orchid in the tank. The orchid dissolves in this acidic thing that goes into Nicta and turns Nicta into a fucking zombie, who then goes on to attack Darth Scabrous, biting him and jumping out of the window. Another Sith student that is observing everything sees what's happening. He falls out of the window as well, so he gets turned into a zombie. And then the plague just fucking spreads across this planet. Zoe manages to escape. While all this is going on, her brother, who is also a Jedi, he has been kind of looking for her and hunting her down. So he's been going to different planets and talking to people and shit like that. You know what? I'll go with the whiskey, not the beer this time. And so he ends up on this planet with the Sith Academy on it. There are other characters that get involved in this. There's an engineer who is taking apart the first bounty hunter's ship. There is the Whiffed bounty hunter Tulk. There is an HK droid. Now, the HK droid models they're assassin droids, basically. If you ever played the Knights of the Old Republic MMORPG, you can get one of them as a character, and he is fucking hilarious in that movie. In that fucking video game. It's so good. This one has been reprogrammed just to be a servant to Darth Scabrous. The HK droid meets up with Tulk. Tulk kind of gets him to break his program. He becomes an assassin droid again, which is really fucking cool. But this is an escape novel where you have Zoe, Tulk, and everyone trying to escape this planet of Sith zombies, some of which still retain their memories and can use lightsabers. Darth Scabrous recaptures Zoe because she is integral to his plan. He has to cut out her heart in this ritual that he found in this temple that was created by the Sith Lord that had the Academy before him, Darth Dreer. And he has to cut out her heart and eat it while she is watching, and then he will gain immortality. He has the zombie virus inside of him, and he has this pack that's pumping him with new blood. He's got about 6 hours worth of blood to kind of get through things. So the crux of this book is shit escalating very quickly. The head Sith student kind of realizes what is happening, but also in his greed for power sees what these zombies can do and kind of infects himself with it, and then kind of goes apeshit. Now, those of you that have seen the South Korean film Train to Busan, at the end of that movie, there is a fantastic, like an absolutely phenomenal scene where the zombies are kind of going after this train and they're climbing over one another and forming this big kind of chain of zombies. That happens in this. This came out first. So, just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if things were taken from other media. Things from this were taken by other media. The main characters, Zoe and Tulk and the droid and the engineer. It's basically their fight for survival. Now, just before Zoe is about to be killed, her brother comes in and he fights Darth Scabrous, but Darth Scabrous is, of course, too powerful for him and ultimately ends up killing him with a Sith blade in one of the best written combat action sequences I have read, not just in a Star Wars novel, in any novel. It is a fight that is epic and disturbing all at the same time. This is on the level of the Drizzt Do'Urden fights in the R.A. Salvatore novels, where everything is described in such perfect detail that you could picture it. If this was a movie, you could picture it basically in slow motion. It's absolutely brilliant. But ultimately, Zoe's brother falls. Zoe is still communicating with the orchid, but the orchid is now inside of all of these zombies. So she kind of gets it to grow, and that is how she manages to destroy some of the zombies. The orchid kind of bursts out of them as this plant thing, which sounds, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, it sounds fucking stupid. Like, it's just a dumb fucking concept that works so goddamn well. This should have been a fucking Star Wars movie. Make some Star Wars horror films, for fuck's sake. This was so much fun. She communicates with the orchid. The orchid's in pain, of course, because it's being tortured with the dark side and the light side of the Force kind of pulling it apart. But ultimately, she manages to convince it to take out Darth Scabrous. She is trying to escape from this temple. So she's climbing up the walls of this temple that are in this library, which, by the way, I'm sorry, this is fucking awesome, and I completely forgot about this. The librarian is a giant dark side plant tree creature who gets infected with, like, zombie-itis. And that is just so fucking awesome. It's basically, don't read this in public because any Star Wars fan's going to get a bit of a chub. Is all I'm saying. Yes, happened to me. Whatever. So she's climbing up the walls of this sunken temple. The building has kind of crashed down after her brother bursts in. So she's climbing up, and the zombie students are climbing down like fucking spider zombie Sith students with lightsabers. Now, think about what I just said. Spider, zombie, Sith students with lightsabers. And they're climbing down, and she's climbing up, and all of a sudden, they start getting picked off by this blaster fire, which is coming from a ship, which is Tulk, the Whiffid bounty hunter, and they lower down a rope thing, and she kind of grabs onto it and gets hauled up into the ship that is being piloted by the engineer. The engineer, while a side character in the very beginning, kind of had this little story arc where he got tricked into the zombies were trying to get onto the ship, and he got tricked into opening the doors, but then he locked them, and it was a whole big thing, but not integral to the story. So they're on this ship, and they're trying to escape the planet, but Darth Scabrous has these gun turrets around the temple that are designed to keep people off planet from coming in and people on planet from leaving, and they're blowing the shit out of this fucking ship. So the droid, the assassin droid who has kind of teamed up with the bounty hunter and has now just been murdering fucking zombie Sith students, says, I can deactivate them, lower me down into the temple. So he kind of jumps down onto the main tower and runs down surrounded by these fucking Sith zombies, and he blows up the fucking tower, probably killing himself. We never actually find out what happened to him, but deactivating the gun turrets, which the ship is allowed to escape. However, prior to this, the droid has detected a zombie virus thing on the ship somewhere. So with the droid blown up and the ship in outer space, Zoe goes off looking for where this zombie thing on the ship might be. And she finds the Whiffid bounty hunter, who, during the fights with one of the zombies, got some shit in his eye and is now infected. And he's chained himself to the wall because he knows what he's going to become. And he's telling her, this part of the ship, this is my trophy room part of the ship. It's also got an airlock. You can eject it out into space, and you need to do that, or I'm basically going to fucking kill everyone. And he kind of goes out a hero, so to speak. But before she gets the chance to do that, the top student has snuck on board, and the top student attacks her, and she manages to use the Force and kind of flip the student over into the bounty hunter's grasp. So the bounty hunter's got a hold of this zombie fucking thing, and she runs through the door and she hits the airlock, and it fucking ejects out into space and leaves them kind of out there with no air or whatever. But she now has, there's only her and the engineer left. The engineer, nice guy, pilot. And she goes back to the agriculture place where she's happy to see everything. And they tell her, which this was fucking dumb, oh, that orchid, that there was only one in the galaxy, we found a second one and it wants to talk to you. And the orchid goes, hey, you knew my brother, man. Let's have a bit of a chat. Like, I'm not kidding you. That's the fucking way it goes. It's so fucking dumb. But it is what it is. And she's like, you know what? No, thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to go back to the Jedi Temple, and I'm going to learn more skills, hopefully to become this kick-ass Jedi Knight that she was always destined to be, not a fucking orchid talker or whatever. And her and the engineer fly back to Coruscant, and that is the end of the book. Now, were there stupid parts in this book? Yes. It's a fucking Star Wars novel. There's going to be stupid things in it, of course. Is this book worth reading as it is not canon? You know what? That whole canon and not canon thing can go and fuck itself right up the blurter. If you enjoy Star Wars and you enjoy the universe, then who gives a shit if it's canon or not canon? It's a Star Wars story. Like, who cares? The cover. A zombie hand holding a red lightsaber. I mean, right there, that should tell you how awesome this book is going to be. What's up? You want to be on camera? Come on. Did you like the book? Why not? Oh, you don't like zombies? Okay. Well, you know what? You can say hi to all of our little Plaguelandian friends. Everyone, this is Bella Bear. Say hi. Go on. Okay. You're being very rude not saying hi to our little Plaguelandians. One more time. Okay. There you go. You silly old man. This was a fantastic read. Just like Death Troopers. Absolutely loved it. While Death Troopers dealt with stormtroopers primarily and had Han Solo and Chewbacca in it, Red Harvest, of course, being the prequel, we learn the origin of the zombie bacterial plague, where it came about from the Sith. It was just a delightfully fun read and one that I would recommend to any fan of Star Wars and any fan of zombie horror. Star Wars Red Harvest by Joe Schreiber. Okay, and that is going to be the end of the first Plaguelands Media video of 2025. I wish all of you the best for this year. Lord knows it hasn't been the best beginning for me, but you know what? Fuck it. Now, if you have any book recommendations, please leave them down there. This year, I plan on reading and reviewing some Raymond E. Feist, who, if you watched my last video, is on my #1 to keep list. I plan on reading a lot of transgressive fiction, books like Throat Sprockets and Hog. These are books that are not going to appeal to, well, a lot of people. But, you know what? It is what it is. I plan on trying to read more classic books, some James Joyce, some more experimental books. 2024, it was basically horror, fantasy, sci-fi, and I want to kind of broaden the horizons just a little bit. But with that said, I read what I like. And horror, fantasy, sci-fi, fuck it, I like them. What can I say? But, again, any recommendations, please leave them in the comments below or wherever. Follow Plaguelands Media on whatever medium you can. Instagram, Facebook, the YouTube channel, of course. Follow Ian Van Gammet, has some very exciting projects coming up in 2025. Plaguelands Media has some Kickstarters we're planning to launch in 2025. And, of course, please follow Dr. Luke Carman, a very exciting young author. I say young because he's younger than me, but he's a fucking old bastard, so who gives a shit, right? But I'm sure he has some stuff, articles, books, stories coming out in 2025. So follow him as well. We are all part of the Plaguelands Media crowd. We are all sexy little Plaguelandians. So with that said, stay safe. Have a fantastic 2025. I'll see you in the next video. Oh, also, don't forget, have a drink if it takes your fancy. Read a fucking book, people.